under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thanks for coming. Item 1, accept minutes of board meeting, June 11th, 2015. Resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the reading of the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting of June 11th, 2015 be dispensed with and the same stand approved as entered by the clerk.
So moved.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any questions?
I have a question. There was a particular point in the discussion where the village manager alluded to the meeting that was held between the county executive and some of the PBA representatives, and I made a note. I said that I thought that was a mischaracterization of what took place at the meeting and why the Horseheads PBA representatives were there. It's not in the minutes. I'd like to see it put there after checking the recording.
You have a motion on that, or we just, that's it?
It's his request. You can determine to modify the minutes according to what he's asking for. You may ask for the specifics about what he's referring to, or there's a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Yeah, I was actually asking, if I could ask, what direction do you want to go into now? Good.
I asked about what was going on with the chief of police at the roundup at the end of the meeting, and the village manager mentioned that the PBA representatives had met with the county executive, and I believe he implied that they were very excited about this or that they were in favor of this. And I thought that was a mischaracterization. I've talked to several of the officers involved in the PBA representatives, and they tell me that they're in favor of keeping our own Horseheads Police Department and police chief. They were at this meeting for the express purpose of knowing what the county executive has in mind. So I mentioned when he said that I thought his statement about that was a mischaracterization of what the Horseheads PBA representatives were at the meeting for.
You were not at the meeting, correct?
At the meeting of what?
That the county had with the PBA reps?
I never represented that I was at the meeting. I just told you that I had talked to several of the PBA representatives who were at the meeting, and that's not why they were there. They told me. So I said in the meeting, whether I was right or wrong, I thought it was a mischaracterization of why they were at the meeting.
Well, I disagree, because they were there for looking at further shared service in law enforcement, and they all were in agreement that they would look at a study possibly, and most likely they will have a study, we'll know shortly, to do what they can do to preserve the police departments as they are right now in our village. They're looking at merging administration, which is acceptable to everybody. So I don't know how your misrepresentation comes out, but and all the PBAs were very interested in that concept.
Well, then you knew I wasn't at that meeting if you were there.
They requested that it be kept to the PBA reps and the union reps. And
My point being, you knew I wasn't there when you asked me if I was. And
whatever the PBA has said,
as I said,
kind of contradicts what I heard.
as I said, I could be right or I could be wrong, but I made that statement, and I'd like that statement reflected in the minutes.
Okay. I don't have any problem with that. Does anybody else?
No, sir.
Okay. So I would request that be made.
Well, there's a motion on the floor, so there should be a second to amend the minutes to reflect the clarification that Trustee Lytle has requested.
I second that motion.
You need to make,
Okay.
that's your motion?
Yes.
Okay, there's a second. You need to vote on amending the resolution.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
Trustee Kalawski.
Aye.
Trustee Lytle.
Aye.
Mayor Ziegler.
Aye.
Now you need to vote on the resolution to accept the minutes as amended now.
True. So we'll back at it again.
We got another roll call vote.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
Trustee Colorado.
Aye.
Trustee Lyman.
Aye.
Mayor Ziegler.
Aye. Item 2 is audience participation. I would request 3 minutes. No personal attacks on people. It is village time for village business, so I would open the floor to public participation, please.
Good morning. My name is Don Fisher. I reside at 306 Bentley Place in Horseheads, and I'm the fire chief of Town Country Fire Department. And I would like to address an issue of probationary firefighter that you admitted into the Horseheads Fire Department on June 11th. I met with Mayor Ziegler at his place of employment after I found this out, and we had a discussion, and he said he was going to talk to village manager Walt Herbst and get back to me. I didn't hear anything, so I went ahead and asked for some information through the Freedom of Information Act. And this individual, she applied for membership in Horseheads on May 26th, which they granted contingent on verification of resignation from her current department. Her resignation was submitted to our department the next day, May 27th, which was after our meeting of May 26th. We did not have another meeting until June 20th, which was the Board of Directors meeting, at which time we accepted her resignation, and I have a copy of the letter for everyone and for Rachel on the resignation that I addressed to Chief Sullivan. In the meantime, not hearing anything from the mayor, Chief Sullivan and I sat down and had a nice meeting, and as long as I'm involved with Town and Country and as long as Artie's involved with the Village Fire Department, we're going to communicate so this doesn't happen, because the reasoning that we were given why she quit was false accusations. And the reason I say that is because if it did happen where people came to calls intoxicated, they were suspended from our department, which has happened. So in doing the stuff, we researched, she applied in January 2014, which you guys accepted her, which I knew nothing about. She was approved on the 26th pending a resignation. She ran 11 calls from the 27th to the 11th of June, when you guys finally approved her as the Board of Fire Commissioners. My contention is this is an unfortunate situation. I would like to squelch the rumors that are out there. We all know Facebook, and I don't do Facebook, but I've been told from other people, from other members, what happened. I was out of town when this happened, and got a call from the Horseheads Fire Department member asking what's going on up there. Do nothing about what's going on. My contention, I know nothing's going to happen. You guys are Board of Fire Commissioners. I would like to present this letter that I responded to Artie, to Rachel, with copies for everybody. But with all the misnomers and everything that was fabricated on the application, all that, my suggestion to you as Board of Fire Commissioners is that this individual, if I'm in a burning building now that I found all this information, if I'm in a burning building, I have to rely on an individual like that, I wouldn't rely on it because I couldn't trust them. And my contention is, to set an example, is I think she should be suspended from the fire department for 6 months to a year, but that's my opinion. And I thank you for the time, and I'd like to present this to Rachel if I could.
Just to let you know, I did turn that over to Walt, and John and was aware of it, and that was the channel that I lead. It's not for me to make a policy,
Oh, I
something like that.
understand.
So I did pass it on.
But again,
Yeah, and they were to,
no one got back to me, so I had to take that other avenue.
I'll pass that on, but, okay.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Tom Root, Fifth Avenue. It's more or less a question. I know it's not a question and answer period, but Miracle, Westinghouse Road, on both sides of Westinghouse Road. I'm not sure who is responsible for taking care of that property, but there's a couple of, most of it looks real well, but there's a couple of spots in there that there's grass in there. It's probably pretty close to waist deep. And it's sort of, when you see that area there, everything else is cleared up. It sort of looks terrible. I don't know whether it's for the village to take care of it or for somebody to get the homeowner to take care of it. And piggybacking on that, there's a house on Lee Avenue, 214 Lee Avenue. Over the winter, there was a water problem in the house. There was water coming out the front window and it was frozen all the way to the ground. Right now, there's a sign on the house saying that it is not to be occupied. I don't quite know, I mean, if it's foreclosure, condemned, or whatever it is. But the grass on that thing is at least knee deep, and the grass between the sidewalk and the road is probably pretty close to waist deep. I know with the code enforcement guy's not there, but again, I don't know who owns the property. I don't think anybody in the neighborhood knows who owns the property. That's about it for that. Been a recent rash of break-ins into cars. I don't know what we can do about it. I know the police department's stretched. I don't want to see somebody sitting out there with a six-pack some Saturday night with a shotgun or something like that, waiting for some kids to come into the neighborhood. But I believe the total was up to 60, 70 cars been hit in the last 3 weeks.
Is that all through Chemung County?
No, that's in Horseheads.
It's just Horsehead Park?
That's Horseheads.
Because it extends way into Painted Post.
But they've been hitting these, the Birdland up there was hit a couple of times. I think South Avenue was hit again this week. So it's a big problem. I know we can do, it happens every year about this time when school's getting out. But we've got to do something about it. Let the people know at least enough to lock their car doors. Because from what I understand, they're not breaking into the cars. They're opening the car doors if they're unlocked. And they're coming to the point where they're not even closing the car doors because they don't want to slam the car door. So they just close it a little bit. That's about it. Oh, and the other thing is, this thing with the Chemung County Sheriff's Department has been dragging on now for quite some time. I thought this was a win-win situation type thing for us, and I just don't understand why it's not getting done. Is it on our part, or is it on the county's part?
I'm gonna have probably John Groff, probably has the most knowledge of that, so I will get to that. He might be able, or do you want to talk about it now, or?
The audience participates.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Good morning. My name is Al Edwards, and I'm the former director of the Recreation Department of the Village of Horseheads. And I was at the last meeting, I voiced a number of concerns about the condition of the Recreation Parks Department. Not so much the department as much as it is the facilities. And I've got a handout, makes things a little bit easier for you. And if you pass that down to, oh,
One more hour.
okay.
You have one for Nate?
Yeah. Oh, I got it. Very quickly, I'll go through these. Oh, the word pride here, I think that's kind of important. Nate, I think, has done his homework in regard to the facility at Thorn Street. And there's a number of words on a building over there. One is trustworthiness, one is respect. There's a couple others. I think it was part of a campaign regarding youth development a number of years ago. Great idea. I'd like to have this word put up there too. Okay? It's really appropriate in regard to the photos you're looking at. On the back of page 1, you see the tallest weed, I think, in the Parks Department. I'm not going to tell you where it is. Somebody else has got to find that out. There's a little bridge at Garden Road Park that was put in probably 20 years ago. It has a substantial hole on one side of it, and that should be repaired. The one basketball pole you see there, that is the Garden Road basketball court. And above that, the dumpsters. In the past, we always had the dumpsters over by the highway department. So that, one of the first things you either experienced through smell or sight wasn't a dumpster full of garbage. Page 2, backboard, Thorn Street, Garden Road. The picture next to that is an old merry-go-round. And when I was the recreation director, there was the insurance company came in and did a liability assessment. And I was curious as to whether or not that happens anymore. If it doesn't, it shouldn't. And if your insurance company doesn't do that, it may be something you might look at in your negotiations with them. The slide, I believe the fall zone on that is a little bit beyond what it should be, and we might take a look at wood shavings. I guess what I'm saying here with the photographs is the rec department needs some money. And if it's bad now, Mr. Mayor, what's it gonna be like after Mr. Santuli's revisions kick in? The last page, the stockade fencing. Is that really what the Village of Horseheads is all? Does everybody know what that is? I know Nate does. That's the restroom facility we have at Teal Park. That's beautiful, isn't it? I think Horseheads is a little bit more than that. I think we ought to take a look at that. I know the kiddie pool, which is the picture below, got closed. Is there any alternative? I know the last time I was here, the village manager mentioned that, this is in a discussion about purchasing a property out on East Franklin Street for $1. He said there were all kinds of grants at the state and federal level to do recreation upgrades and construction and all that. This would be a nice place to start, to do maybe a splash area for the kids. Because the shallowest end of the kiddie pool really isn't appropriate for really little kids. The other pictures, and I'm almost done. This is an area by the garage. It'd be nice to get the dumpsters moved across the street, maybe put some type of more aesthetically pleasing fencing there so we don't see that. It's kind of a storage area for scrap and junk. And then the last thing is, as you enter, when you go to Thorn Street Park, if you're coming in from Broad Street, when you first drive in, there's a little access road. It's also a walking trail and a biking trail, I believe, for the public. I thought there was a problem because do people know that it's not supposed to be something you drive on? I mean, it's wide enough for a car and a truck. What I would recommend is maybe talk to your insurance people and see if maybe a barricade should be put up there, or balustrades. Those are the things that go on the ground and they can be locked. And then, oh, there was one other thing. I know that, Ron, you put a lot of time into the bandstand at one time. And I know that Alan Kramer, God rest his soul, and Leah Kramer put their life blood into it. It needs to be looked at. The steps going up to the bandstand are in, there's a cleat. I don't know if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, but it's cracked, or the attachment to the building is cracked. And it needs to be looked at before something serious happens. And also, if somebody has the codes for the paint, the floor in the bandstand is getting to the point where the next step is dry rot. It needs to be cleaned, primed, and painted. That's something that can be done in-house if someone got a little bit of professional advice from Sherwin-Williams or something like that. In fact, I believe Sherwin-Williams at one point donated paint to have that painted. Anyway, the bottom line on this is prioritize the recreation department. I think a big part of this is it wasn't funded appropriately. It's not personnel. It's funding. Or Kiwanis Club, or one of the clubs you guys are involved with, getting involved. I know Kiwanis Club was involved with that years ago. Thanks for your time.
Anybody else? Okay, we're gonna go on to item 3, authorized membership in PERMA, Public Employer Risk Management Association for Workers' Compensation Insurance. Resolution, please.
Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Horseheads desires to secure the Village of Horseheads' obligation to provide volunteer firefighters benefit law, volunteer ambulance workers benefit law, and workers' compensation benefits as applicable, through participation in a group self-insurance program of which the Village of Horseheads will be a member. And whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Horseheads duly convened in regular session, does hereby resolve, pursuant to and in accordance with the provisions of Section 50 of the New York State Workers' Compensation Law and other applicable provisions of law and regulations thereunder as follows. Section 1. The Board of Trustees of the Village of Horseheads does hereby resolve to secure the Village of Horseheads' obligation to provide volunteer firefighters benefit law, volunteer ambulance workers benefit law, and workers' compensation benefits as applicable through participation in a group self-insurance plan of which the Village of Horseheads will be a member. Section 2. The Board of Trustees of the Village of Horseheads does hereby resolve to become a member of Public Employer Risk Management Association, Inc., a workers' compensation group self-insurance program for local governments and other public employers and instrumentalities of the state of New York. Section 3. In order to effect the Village of Horseheads membership in said group self-insurance program, the village manager of the Village of Horseheads is hereby authorized to execute and enter into the Public Employer Risk Management Association Workers' Compensation Program Agreement. Next here too is Exhibit A on behalf of the Village of Horseheads. Section 4. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
So moved.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any questions?
Yeah, on section 1, about the volunteer firemen, there it says that we have the obligation to provide. Does that mean though, and correct me if I'm wrong, that they have been given this opportunity, but didn't they sign off on that also, or?
They're, not on the volunteer benefits in the event that they're injured in the performance of providing volunteer services. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but there is an optional retirement plan for volunteer firemen that some municipalities have, and volunteer firefighters in Horseheads have indicated they have no interest in participating in that program. So that may be what you're referring to.
Okay, yes, thank you very much.
Sure.
Any other questions?
I had a question. In February, the meeting February 26th, we had a presentation from Mark Gallo and Deanna Haynes from State Insurance Fund. Is that the one that we're canceling now?
Yes.
So they awarded us a cute little plaque for 85 years of being with them. Do we have to give that back now or something?
No.
Then the figures that the village manager put together on our savings, I just wondered, did we ever look at this before? That's a pretty significant savings. Have we've been with that other company so long, don't we periodically, we're going to save almost $12,000 on this? Did we ever look at that before? Or is this the first time we've ever done that?
I
That
can't
you know?
answer that, but it's something that insurance needs to be looked at generally, quite often, and I don't have Walt here, so I can't answer that.
Okay.
question, But I'll bet you he probably has, or had a suspicion a year ago to look further into this, so, but I'm glad he did. The savings is there now.
Okay.
Better than letting it go the other way. Roll call, please.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
Trustee Kowalski.
Aye.
Trustee Lidle.
Aye.
Mayor Ziegler.
Aye. And item 4 would be justice reports. Resolution, please.
Be resolved that the justice reports for May 2015 be received and placed on file in the village clerk's office.
So moved.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
Trustee Kowalski.
Aye.
Trustee Lidle.
Aye.
Mayor Ziegler.
Aye. So that finishes the meeting.
Your Honor?
Is there anything else?
Yeah, I would like to add a resolution that wasn't on today's meeting schedule, but traditionally, over the years, we have canceled the second and the second meeting in July and August because there wasn't enough on the agenda to hold a meeting. And whenever we needed to, we would call a special meeting. But I'd like to make a resolution that we cancel the second meeting in July, second meeting in August.
Okay. We need really a motion for an
That is a
add-on.
motion, so if you're looking for a second,
You want an add-on?
you could.
So this really would be an add-on,
Okay, yeah.
so I would request the motion for one add-on, and then your consideration after that. So I would request the first and the second for an add-on,
I made the motion.
for an add-on.
Yep.
Have a second.
Second.
Okay. I have a first and a second for an add-on. Roll call, please.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
Trustee Paulowski.
Aye.
Trustee Weigel.
I've seen this done the last couple of years. I wasn't quite sure why we do that. We're paid a salary to be here at these meetings. And I know that one year it was the two in the summer, and also Christmas and New Year's fell close to that. So that was 4 meetings we didn't make. I think we ought to be here to do the people's business on those days, so I'll vote no.
Okay. Roll call, please. Well,
Mayor Ziegler.
aye. So, we have a motion.
I made the motion
We had the add-on. We made the motion for the,
Yep.
okay, we have a second for that.
Let me backtrack here. There was a motion, there was a second, there was a discussion, there wasn't a vote on adding the item to the agenda, so we need to have a roll call vote on adding the item to
What
the
I thought.
agenda.
Yeah.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
Trustee Paulowski.
Aye.
Trustee Weigel.
No.
Mayor Ziegler.
Aye.
Now you got it on the agenda, now you have a vote on the, you have a motion that Ron made for the cancellation of those meetings. There needs to be a second to that motion.
We had the first and second, right?
Yes, sir.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Schwartz.
Aye.
Trustee Paulowski.
Aye.
Trustee Weigel.
No.
Mayor Ziegler.
Aye. We can always reschedule a meeting if we need it, which I think may happen. So that ends the, Ron? George?
Just a couple quick things. I'd like to welcome Pat Edmond to the staff. He's our new community service officer here for the village. I've had the opportunity to talk to some people that have had some dealings with him, and they've been very pleased in the way he handled the situation and himself. So, welcome on board.
Thank you.
And as you've already heard, we've got some more problems to handle today. Secondly, just a quick thumbs up, I guess, the residents of Bowers and Myers Drive, they're satisfied to see with things moving forward, getting the streets repaved. They're putting up with the dust, dirt, noise, but they're happy to know what the end result's gonna be. Especially after last summer that they went through with the gas and electric and having all the gas lines taken in, so they are very happy over there. That's it, thank you, sir.
Brad?
Realizing the village manager isn't here, I just wonder if you had any information for us on a couple things. One would, have we heard back from our IT person about posting somewhere a link to our audio for these meetings? Where do we stand with the chief of police? Now, I understand there's still some problems. And a full-time code officer, where do we stand with that? If you have that information, or you want to defer until we can get the village
I do
manager?
know I talked to Walt about the IT person, and they are coming up with dollars and cents of what it would be. And their IT people need to make a recommendation on that too. That is in the works. The police chief thing I think we just talked about is, John Groff actually, did you have anything further on that?
Sure, and when you're done, I'll be happy to
Okay.
run on.
And the code situation, I believe the town of Horseheads is really in a lot of work-related stuff with the city of Elmira. They're being paid, the town is being paid $40,000 for 20 hours worth of work. And I don't know exactly what that entails, our whole staff or just one person. So, and I know you said you talked to Mike Edwards. Did you get a figure for me? Rather, the manager should be doing that type of work.
I'll be happy to negotiate that with you if that's what you're charging me with, but I understand that the arrangement between the city of Elmira and the town of Horseheads is not going to take place.
I thought they were gonna reconsider it and restructure something, so we need to see how that's gonna work out. And I guess it's a work in progress too.
Well, maybe we should, if you're willing, is to have the town of Horseheads representatives come in and see what they could do for us. If you're
Well, I'll
willing.
pass this on to the manager.
Okay.
Because that really would be his duty. but-
That'd be great.
Brad, I talked to Mike, just the day before yesterday, and asked him specifically, could they do it? He said he'd be happy to talk with us, but to be honest, he didn't think they could. That was his exact word. But it's worth talking.
I think he's gonna be on overload, but we'll see. Okay? Yeah.
One other thing, if I could, Mayor, just so that I understand our job here. I've been told by the village manager before that my job here as a village trustee is not to get involved with day-to-day operations, which I can accept, but every once in a while, I look at something and I think, well, maybe that has more to do with policy, and I've gotten at cross ends with the village manager over some of those things. But today, you just said, when we were talking about the firefighter, it's not for you to make policy. The village manager told me specifically that our job is policy.
Well, maybe I could rephrase that policy. It's not my call to make the judgment for Donnie about that situation. My job is to pass it on to the manager.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure our job is,
Policy may be wrong.
our job is policy then.
I'd say as
Okay.
a point of clarification, it's the board that makes policy, not an individual member of the board. So.
Correct.
His comment, if I remember correctly, was that he doesn't make policy, and that is a factually correct statement. He does not make policy. This board establishes the policy for the village of Horseheads, not an individual of the board.
John?
Right, anything else?
May I just ask one quick question?
Yeah.
Have you followed up with Watkins at all on their, you say they have an audio and a visual of their meetings? How many hits they're getting on those, by any chance, or you haven't had a chance to really?
I haven't talked to them at all. I just went to their site and looked at it.
Oh, okay, I thought you talked, I'm sorry.
Nope.
Okay, I'm just kind of curious if they had many hits or what the response was there. Okay, thank you.
That's one thing I want to know, how many times people look at our site and what areas, if we can tell. I can on mine. Anything else?
With respect to the police chief scenario and the county, it is still under development. As you may have read in newspapers, the original intention was that Under Sheriff Schramm would take the responsibility of serving administratively as the police chief for the village. Due to some complications at the county level, apparently that isn't going to occur, but at this point, it really is a matter between the county and the sheriff's department and members of the sheriff's department, and so it really isn't something that the village has the capacity to influence or control. The village and the county and the sheriff are exploring other alternatives in terms of different personnel providing the services that would be required administratively. That still is being explored, so it isn't fully resolved at this point. And when, since it is a contract that the village would have with the county for that service, it really is their responsibility to determine administratively and internally how they would handle it. Then presumably whatever their proposal is would come back to the village, and then at that time the village would have the opportunity to determine whether or not it feels that whatever this plan is going to be acceptable ultimately. So I would say that it would be correct to say that there have been some setbacks in the initial thinking regarding how the administrative services would be supplied and what individuals would be specifically involved in providing those services. At this point, it's still being determined. Unfortunately, there have been some setbacks that were really not village caused, but we were impacted by.
May I question that?
Sure.
The resolution that was passed by this board specifically called for the undersheriff. The undersheriff has turned this down, so therefore it's not going to be the undersheriff. Wouldn't it be appropriate to bring that back? That resolution, in my mind, has not been met, and we gave the village manager, in that resolution, the authority to go out and negotiate, formulate this agreement with the county and sign it. Therefore, I make a motion that we negate, rescind, cancel that resolution, and come up with another resolution if that's the case.
But we don't know if it's going to be the undersheriff. I think the proper time, my thought, the proper time to do a resolution is when the decision is made. Is it going to be somebody else? And then, would that be the way to go, John? And,
Well,
I mean, you're going to be doing this.
at this point, to say that all bets are off is an overstatement, but it is correct to say that what was initially anticipated in terms of the individual involved that would be providing the administrative services, it appears that that is not going to be feasible any longer. There is, I guess it's also fair to say that alternatives are being explored, and once those alternatives become more solidified, they would be coming back to this board. So there is nothing of substance at this point to offer to you that's very definitive.
Yeah, but to rescind that motion that we passed, I just think would be premature because we just don't know what is, it may very well be the undersheriff. We're not 100% sure that it won't be.
So what,
You know what I mean? So,
if I can ask, what
before you need to.
what authority is he operating under now, if it's not that resolution?
As manager, he has the authority and the obligation of managing the village's workforce in general. And so
Okay.
it would be under that authority, he's exploring this option. And I can't speak for him any more than I can speak for someone else. But my expectation would be that when options that he's exploring are more clear and more defined, it'll come back to you as a board and you'll be informed. And whatever that option is will dictate how it is that this board responds to it.
We'll be informed, or we'll be asked to modify the amendment or to rescind and produce a new resolution?
Those are wonderful questions. The answer is that has yet to be determined because we don't know what we're talking about right now specifically. So I can't answer for him, and it's a question, if you wish for clearer answers, you may want to direct that question to the manager directly.
Okay. My understanding is that from the report that we've interviewed somebody else that's not an undersheriff, it's a captain in the sheriff's department. So it would look like the other one is not going to take place, and therefore I think my what I'm asking for here is appropriate, that resolution is dead. And this board should come up with another resolution if we feel that this should be pursued with the captain.
I feel the resolution should be done at the time. If we go putting a resolution in that I see this, if we put a resolution out there nullifying that, what message does that send? This is a cutting edge new approach to administrative law enforcement that all of the police agencies are looking at as a solution to funding for all communities. By rescinding it, I think it just sends a message. What's going on up in Horseheads? There's nobody here to know this. And I think it just sends a very mixed message. If it needs to be rescinded, which if it does, there's the time to do that. But is this the premature time? And yes, I feel it is. That's just my opinion. But Either you?
I agree, I don't think that now's the time to do it, but we have to wait and get all the information.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that our residents are asking that question. What's going on in Horseheads? Thank you.
Anything else, Jen?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Nate?
Just to let everybody know that the pool is open. This Friday night is the first of 3 dog park nights at Thorn Street. If anybody has any questions on anything, feel free to ask me. We'll go with that.
Young man,
Yes, I want to thank everybody for the
you're new in town.
Yes.
So this is Pat Hinman, our new CFO. Tom, you couldn't ask at a better time.
I'll do talk to you.
Yeah, talk to him. And we look forward to the tall grass doctor. Yes, handle. Thanks.
Yeah.
I have nothing, I don't believe. Oh, the break-ins. There is stories going around about 2 drones flying around up in your area and so forth. And stories that it might be state police and doing surveillance, I don't know. I still can't get a good answer. I know it's a big problem. They've had a lot of law enforcement agencies up there. Yeah, it does happen this time of year, they told me. I was talking to one of our sergeants. All the more reason for a good, strong neighborhood watch. Look out your windows if you get up in the middle of the night. Leave outside lights on, and be proactive about something like that. So, are we setting up workshops or anything?
No, sir.
Not yet? Okay. So, I think that is all I have. Yeah, that's it. Rachel, anything? Okay, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.